Hello all and welcome, and I'm the MGTOW philosopher. And in this video, I would like to talk about a story I just now came across, and I'm shocked by it. You know, sometimes I see one of these stories I comment on, and I really can't believe they're real. I mean, I read the headline, and it's like, this can't be real. This has got to be like some kind of satirical piece or some kind of joke. No, they're all real. That's the funny thing. And it just makes you realize that, you know, life is really stranger than fiction. And this article, well, it reinforces that. Be less masculine. Report tells military sexual harassment undermines combat readiness. Be less masculine. Be less aggressive. Be less manly. It's good for the military. What? What are you talking about? Oh, Jesus Christ. This is so stupid. So immediately this story raises some red flags in my mind. I mean, what the hell? Be less masculine. Isn't masculinity what makes men like aggressive and you know, oh no, men and women are equal and women can be just as aggressive as men. Toxic masculinity. And they don't have toxic masculinity, but toxic masculinity is what makes men aggressive. And you know, aggression's bad. But of course, it's good if you're in the military. Oh, but now we don't want that in the military either. We just want men to be like women, even though they might have to fight. And of course, they'll obviously die because they'll be such pussies and they'll run away and get shot in the back. But hey, equality. Let's get to the meat of this story, shall we? And I can already see where this is going based on this picture of this ugly, disgusting broad in the picture and the pussy-looking guy sitting beside her. Here we go with the bullshit, promoting empathy and cracking down on hypermasculinity. Well, what does that mean, hypermasculinity? Automatically, you know this article was written by a feminist because you've got these buzzwords that are essentially rhetorical nonsense, words that don't have meaning. Like masculinity, but too much masculinity. That's what hypermasculinity means. Too much masculinity. Oh, too much masculinity is bad. We don't need that. We don't even want that in combat where you need to chop off your enemy's head or he's going to kill you. Oh, we don't want that there either. That's an extreme situation, but we can't have extreme masculinity. There's such a thing as hypermasculinity. And now that's replaced toxic masculinity. Cracking down on hypermasculinity. What's that mean? What does that mean, hypermasculinity? That has no meaning. The left is riddled with these words that are problematic situations. Hypermasculinity is problematic. Words that have no meaning. That doesn't even exist. That word is made up, okay? Try looking in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary and see if you find hypermasculinity. I mean, now that you got feminists and liberals taking over everything, you just might find these fucked up words that don't exist. You might find them in the next dictionary. Yeah, check the 2008 Merriam-Webster's for hypermasculinity. You might actually find it in there along with hate speech and toxic masculinity. May help the Department of Defense to reduce unwanted sexual behavior. Oh, my God. So feminist claptrap non-word language is making it into the Department of Defense. Wonderful. It says, I've always said feminism has infiltrated any and every part of American society, Western culture, even the military, to reduce unwanted sexual behavior and improve combat readiness. What? A new government report on sexual violence in the military says, oh, right. So if you want to push this feminist bullshit, just say it's good for morale or it's good for combat readiness. I don't know how that is. I mean, there's no evidence for that, but you just say some bullshit like, well, if men are less hypermasculine, meaning less hypersexual, then there'll be less tension and there'll be more readiness to fight. What does that even mean? That's just nonsense. It's just babble talk. And this ought to just be baby babble. I mean, it makes about as much sense. Unwanted sexual behavior, such as sexual harassment, sexual assault. Okay, and domestic violence. Undermine core values, unit cohesion. Wait. What? Wait a second. Hold on a second. I got to pause this. Okay, so automatically I'm confused. So first I thought this was about sexual harassment in the military, but clearly this is nothing more than the old feminist trope that men are more violent than women, and we need to make all men, especially in military, less violent so that, you know, there's less sexual assault of their fellow soldiers, female soldiers in uniform. Oh, no, but domestic violence as well. What? That's about the military. Oh, well, their home life. Maybe if they're domestically battering their spouse. Because, of course, no women hit men. Of course. And, of course, this is all about men because they call it hypermasculinity. We need to reduce that. So they're talking about men committing violence against their wives. Because, of course, you're not going to have a female soldier abusing her husband. Oh, no. Even though the statistics show that women are at the very least as violent or more violent than men and more likely to be the first attacker in a domestic violence situation than a man. Oh, but somehow it's just the men. Oh, I see. It undermines core values. Wait, core values? Unit cohesion? What does that have to do with domestic violence? The only way that would have to do with domestic violence is if the man and the woman are both in the soldiers and they're both in the same unit. What are you throwing domestic violence in there for? It's just bullshit. Bullshit. That's not even having anything to do with the military. This is just an attack on men. Combat readiness. What the hell does that have to do with it? Well, I suppose if he's in jail for domestic violence, he can't go into combat, I suppose. Other than that, what the hell's that got to do with anything? I mean, I guess it could affect unit cohesion. I got a good solution for that. Don't let women in the military. They don't belong there anyway. Every single woman in the military is a job taken that a man could do, and him being a man automatically means he can do the job much, much better than she can. He's stronger. He has more stamina. He could beat her ass. Oh, but no. Let's put a woman in there just to virtue signal and to say how progressive we are. I say, and public goodwill. These are just buzzwords. They're just throwing in buzzwords here and talking points that have no meaning. Says the report published this month by the Government Accountability Office and signed by Brenda Farrell, Director of Defense. A woman. A woman in charge of defense capabilities and management. Of course. Sounds like a made-up job, by the way. The report pointed out that interconnected, inappropriate behaviors are part of a continuum of harm. Oh, well, there you go. Well, there's another buzzword made up by the left. Doesn't mean anything. What's a continuum of harm? That's gender studies mumbo-jumbo babble talk that you ought to hear out of a baby's mouth. It creates a climate conducive to sexual harassment. What creates a climate conducive to sexual harassment? Putting men and women who are young and fit into the same room together? Yeah, but of course it's only men that are sexually harassing. It's not women. Assault and violence. It's the military, you idiot! You should expect more aggressive people to be there. You're training them to kill people. Why are you putting women into an environment with men who are trained to kill people and be violent and assault others? What are you talking about? Well, they have to be less. Well, they have to learn to turn it off. They have to be less hyper masculine, and they got to be able to turn it back on when they get into combat. Of course, even though we don't know how to do that, we just know how to turn it off and make them into soy boy pussies. We don't know the part where we reverse the procedure and turn them back into the killing machines that they're supposed to be to protect everyone. The National Defense Authorization Act (NDAA) for fiscal year 2017 expanded the definition of sexual harassment. Of course, it did. Because you're letting all these women in. And now, of course, what's really compromising the military is all this feminized bullshit and making men more empathetic and feminine and making them more empathetic to women's needs. And they have to change how they act because there's women in the vicinity now. Yeah, let's just make them all a bunch of pussies, why don't we? Let's feed them all soy products. Why don't you do that, military? You can engineer them to be even bigger pussies than they already are. Sexual harassment in the military beyond sex discrimination to make an adverse behavior and on the spectrum of behavior that it's just rhetorical nonsense. None of this makes any sense. Expanded the definition of sexual harassment in the military beyond sex discrimination. Okay, to make it an adverse behavior on the spectrum of behavior that can contribute to an increase in the incidence of sexual assault. So you're labeling a behavior that could possibly happen. Or could lead to something positive. This just sounds like somebody imagining shit. This is just somebody in their own objective reality creating logic chains that in reality don't exist and there's no evidence or proof for. Like that video game bullshit. All these idiots on the left tried to pass off this belief that video games make people more violent as some kind of proven fact, using their subjective reasoning to form what they believe were logic chains. Oh, well, this could lead to that behavior, and then that behavior could lead to the final outcome. But I'm not using logic or reason or critical thinking to come to these conclusions. I'm just using my own fear, solipsism, and subjective reasoning, which doesn't work in objective reality. Both the Pentagon and the separate service branches have yet to update their policies to reflect this new definition that GAO found. What definitions is that? You've defined nothing. The report also urged the Pentagon to incorporate the guidelines for preventing and dealing with sexual violence developed by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The report also urged the Pentagon to incorporate the guidelines for preventing and sometimes you got to read this stuff twice or thrice because it doesn't make so much sense on the first read. So the Center for Disease Control and Prevention has created guidelines to prevent and deal with sexual assault. I thought they were just about controlling disease and disease prevention. Oh, no. They're in on the leftist groupthink, think tank, push leftist liberal agenda bullshit that doesn't make any sense. The Pentagon is ignoring risk factors identified by the CDC, such as drug and alcohol abuse. Well, drug and alcohol abuse is a factor for having sex and poor judgment among both sexes. So what? Hypermasculinity is not a real thing. If hypermasculinity is real, then hyperfemininity is real too, and they cancel each other out, or both are guilty of bad behavior and bad judgment. Just saying hypermasculinity, well, hyperfemininity means that it's somehow a male problem, that there's so much more sexual assault or so much more sexual harassment, and that it's not a female problem. Oh, of course, because men are always the bad guy. Oh, I see. Emotionally unsupportive family environments. What the fuck's that got to do with it? Emotionally unsupportive. What does that mean? What does that mean? Emotionally unsupportive. What does that mean? Her husband isn't supporting her somehow or being empathetic enough? Well, that has nothing to do with the military. Now you're getting into their bedrooms and their personal lives. Of course, that's what you really want. You social engineers, you fucks. General tolerance of sexual violence. Nobody tolerates sexual violence. All that is them taking the bullshit about the rape culture, which has already been proven in the false and wrecked time and time again. But of course, feminists still choose to believe it because they don't believe in objective reality. It's all subjective, and it pushes their agenda. So that now they've relabeled it to general tolerance of sexual violence. So that's their new label for the rape culture bullshit within the community and societal norms that support male superiority and sexual entitlement. Where is that? Where's that means patriarchy. So, they've changed, and they're trying to make all this stuff sound scientific and not retard feminist bullshit. So like any good leftist from the Frankfurt School, they just relabel things and rename them to sound scientific so that they'll be acceptable somehow to a bunch of stupid morons. I see. Societal norms that support male superiority means patriarchy. The patriarchy. There's no patriarchy, bitch. If there was a patriarchy, you wouldn't be using all of this nasty anti-man language. The patriarchy would have stopped you from doing so. Also ignored by the DOD are protective factors such as emotional health and connectedness and empathy and concern for how one's actions affect others. What is this solipsistic bullshit talk? Protective factors, emotional health and connectedness? What? What is that, a class or something you're supposed to take as a male soldier to feel more empathetic to women and their periods? Story goes on to say, CDC's research has also established that survivors of one form of violence are more likely to be victims of other forms of violence. It also I see. Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, yeah, so what? Because they become numbed to it and come to expect it. If it happens again, they're less likely to report it because nothing was done before. And so what? So what? And also because the people that are victimizers sort of have an eye for those kind of people that they can victimize. They can spot them because they're predatory. So what? That's the truth about men and women as well. CDC's research is survivors of one form of violence are more likely to be victims of other forms. You're just stating the obvious. So what? Or you're going to try to slink that to some solipsistic point that's actually nonsense. That survivors of violence are at a higher risk of behaving violently, and the people who behave violently are more likely to commit other forms of violence. So survivors of violence are at higher risk of behaving violently. Yeah, so what? There's no point here. So now this is just, alarmist talk. It serves no purpose. I don't see a point here. They're just stating the obvious. This paragraph has no meaning, no point. It's basically useless nonsense they're speaking in terms of it having no point. Yeah, what you're saying, people who are victims of violence will possibly be more likely to be violated in the future, and they might be more violent themselves. So what? Are you saying that only women are victims of this kind of violence, and that they're more likely to be damaged and harmed long term? Not only are they more likely to be victims, but they're more likely to be victimizers. Oh, the poor women. Oh, the poor women's. And the people who behave violently are more likely to commit other forms of violence. Yeah, so we have to stop these women from being hurt and harmed. Oh, they're such poor victims. Even when they're victimizers, they're still victims. Oh, I see. So they're indirectly trying to paint any woman that is guilty of some kind of crime or violence or sexual assault or sexual harassment. Well, she's still a victim herself. Because she was victimized, and that made her act that way, meaning the man did it, even though she did it. Patriarchy. Yeah, okay. Noting that the DOD instructed the services in 2014 to develop mechanisms for reporting incidences of sexual harassment anonymously, the GAO said that such mechanisms are not yet part of the department-wide sexual violence policies. Okay, we're a little slow on that. Yeah, you really need to speed that up. No question about that. I'm not encouraging or in any way validating sexual assault as being a good thing. There certainly should be mechanisms in place that people can report it anonymously. But then again, is that a good thing? Then again, I mean, what I was going to say is a good thing to report it. But report it anonymously, is that really so good? I mean, if somebody makes an anonymous report, isn't that kind of like encouraging witch hunts? Because somebody can just anonymously say whatever the fuck they want and not be held accountable. Sounds kind of like the always believe her narrative, where whenever a woman says she's been raped, well, you need to believe her because no woman would lie about something like that. And of course, every allegation that a woman makes has to be true. Yeah, a woman accuses you of rape. There's no corroborating evidence. Go to jail because, always believe her. Additionally, each service branch uses a different database format to record formal complaints of sexual harassment. The Navy uses Excel spreadsheets, for example, while the GAO does not go as far as the recommended a single database. The report does advocate improving and standardizing data collection. Yeah, that's all you need. Let's make it easier and encourage more people to report this stuff. Yeah, I don't think so. So that the Department of Defense, and certainly don't make it anonymous, so that the Department of Defense can further develop its understanding of the connection between unwanted sexual behaviors. Wait. What connection? Further develop its understanding of the connection between unwanted sexual behaviors and what? No and? Oh, you're talking about the different behaviors themselves have some kind of specific connection, some kind of encompassing thread that ties them all together? Like I see. They're trying to essentially paint all types of sexual behavior as the same. From a pat on the ass to rape. They're all connected somehow in the same way. Of course. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, just like that poor Matt Damon got roasted because he actually had the unmitigated gall to suggest that there's a difference between a pat on the ass and forceful rape. Yeah, there's no distinction there. No, there's no difference in degree. Oh, no, the offenses are both the same. Having a single standard across service branches would also be helpful. Oh, a single standard? You mean not only for collection of information, but for how you identify each crime? Yeah, a single standard for all. Rape and ass-patting are the same. Wouldn't feminists just love that? Of course, these big fat land whales want to make any and all forms of sexual harassment, no matter what it might be, equal, be it rape or ass-patting, meaning they want to make every ass-pat and accidental brush up against somebody into the same thing as rape. Yes, let's discourage everybody from having some kind of sexual relations, attachment with each other, having some kind of relationship, because, of course, I'm a big, fat, ugly cat lady. I'll never have a husband. No man would ever come near me, and I'm so angry and bitter. Well, I just want everybody else to be as unhappy as I am. The GAO report says, noting that the U.S. Marine Corps' USMC updated its standards of conduct in May, the USMC made the change in response to the Marines United scandal, where current and former members posted nude photos of female recruits in a Facebook group along with disparaging comments. Yeah, geez, what do you expect? You put a bunch of female recruits alongside male recruits, and imagine that some of these young guys in their early 20s are going to act like cads. Big surprise. Not to me, it ain't. While the Marines now consider posting nude photos of others without consent to be harassment, other service branches do not as of yet. You still have civil crime. Okay, it's still a civil crime. Go to the police then, okay? Okay? The GAO report comes at a time of renewed interest in sexual harassment and U.S. accusations of improper behavior have forced a number of Hollywood celebrities. Oh, here we go. Now we got to link this stuff with the military. And by the way, I haven't heard any cases. I've heard this one case. What is all this nonsense? All I see is a bunch of alarmist, claptrap people, essentially making a lot of noise over nothing. And there's no scandal here. What are you reporting on? Something that happened way, way back a while ago when some nude pictures of some female recruit got posted. This is what the left does, of course. Something happened 27 years ago, and they're going to take that now and hold that up as representative of the present, and this is what's happening everywhere, and it's some huge problem. We don't know how much of a problem because nobody's reporting it. Oh, you got to love that reasoning. We don't hear about it, so it must be happening a lot. Yeah, proof of nothing is actually something. Didn't you know that? The GAO report comes at a time of renewed interest in sexual assault in the USA. Of course it does, because that's what the left does. They take one little isolated incident against somebody who is famous, and they use that and conflate it with everything else so they can get their agendas pushed in areas where they've been having trouble in the past or it's taking too long. Of course, U.S. accusations of inappropriate or improper behavior have forced a number of Hollywood celebrities, media executives, and members of Congress to resign or be removed from public. How many? How many? 2? 3? Suddenly we got an epidemic here? Oh, well, it has to be an epidemic because, we've sensationalized it so much, so people think it's an epidemic. So, yeah, it's an epidemic because we made people think it is. And the article goes on to say, in 2015, the Obama administration lifted restrictions on having women in combat roles. Yeah, how many of them do you see coming home with arms and legs blown off? I haven't seen any. Where are they? Yeah, they're still not serving in real combat roles. They're just a little closer to the front line, which means they're still not serving in combat. Because, of course, we don't want to see women coming back with hands blown off, arms blown off, legs blown off. And you don't see it, do you? The only victims I see still coming home missing their body parts are men. So give me a break about these women being in combat roles. It's a bunch of crap. And to set a deadline for allowing openly transgender troops to serve, in July this year, President Trump said he would not allow transgender people to serve. And by the way, he banned them, which is his right. He is the commander-in-chief, you liberal pinheads, in any capacity. A good thing, too, because these people are fruitcakes. They're nuts. 40% of them kill themselves, and it has nothing to do with them being bullied. And people saying that are just solipsistically trying to apply this belief in their head. Oh, it's a result of bullying. They're not mentally ill. They're mentally ill. They're fruitcakes. They're men believing they're women, and women believing they're men. Are you kidding me? They kill themselves because they're mentally ill, not because people are bullying them. Are you kidding me? Nobody's bullying these people, okay? Nobody. It's so politically incorrect, and people are so aware now, okay, of this stuff and how fragile these people are. And people have been conditioned not to bully these people. You don't bully them. You get virtue points for treating them well, okay? Nobody's bullying these fruitcakes, all right? They got all these special privileges and powers in society. Nobody is treating them badly, all right? If they think somebody's treating them badly, it's because they're precious fucking snowflakes who are so fucking fragile that even a sideways glance makes them feel like they've been victimized. No, they're nut jobs. And by the way, they're only joining the military in large part so they can have somebody pay for that surgery. Yeah, I don't want to have a dick. I want to have a hole in between my legs, but I can't afford it. So I'm going to join the military and have them pay for me. Yeah, I'm sure that the enemy's going to be real scared of that he-she charging at them. Ah! Yeah, that drag queen coming at them. Yeah, that's really going to scare the shit out of these gigantic, low IQ Muslims with their AK-47s and their scimitars. Yeah, they're real scared of you, you he-she charging at them. Yeah, okay. Citing tremendous medical costs and disruption. Yeah, because not only are these people expensive mental health-wise, but they need a whole bunch of specific medications, okay, to not only to keep but progress the sex change process. So, yeah, they need all these female hormones, they need a bunch of special medical care. Oh, it's very expensive. Not to mention the surgery, which they would be entitled to. The matter is currently being fought over in the courts. He's the commander-in-chief. He has the final say. So far, only men are required to sign up to register for a potential draft. Of course, because even though feminists are all about equality, as they say, they don't want women getting blown up. I wonder why. Could it be because that if women didn't have all these special privileges, then they wouldn't vote for these wacky leftist liberal agendas? They're for them that are giving them all these special privileges and such. Sure, you can join the military, and you'll just have to be a paper pusher, and you'll have a ready-made job for you, okay? Yeah, easy job. Here you go. You don't even have to carry heavy shit. The guys will do that. We'll just have you in here to virtue signal. You don't serve any real purpose because you're not going to be charging at the enemy, and you'll be even less useful if you're a he-she because you're going to make the enemy think we're a bunch of fucking pussies and idiots. They see this dolled-up man, woman thing charging at them. Yeah, they're real scared of our military in that case. Our military's becoming a joke. Yeah, but they don't want to sign up for the draft. Let me tell you something, ladies. You have no right to dictate to the military, or anyone for that matter, how society should be, how culture should be, how the military should comport itself. You're not required to sign up for the draft. You're not required to go out there and get your fucking head blown off in the case of war and the draft get implemented, okay? So until you start paying fucking taxes, especially until you're required to sign up for the draft, You have no right to ask for and require anything.
We want the military to, take our feelings into account more and to change and modify itself to be more accepting and more comfortable for women.
Are you required to go to war if we have a war?
Well, no.
Then fuck yourself! Go fuck yourself, ladies. U.S. law attempts to expand the requirements of women have failed to get enough votes in Congress. Yeah, imagine that. All those congressmen who are supposedly pro-woman and feminists and all about equality aren't pushing and trying to forward the agenda of making women equal, of course. Oh, but they're doing it, of course, in the areas that women benefit and want to be made more equal, meaning superior, but they don't want to actually be equal in terms of responsibility. Oh no, we don't want to clean out the sewers. We don't want to pick up garbage. We don't want to be in a position where we could get drafted and killed in a war. Oh no, we're more valuable than men, don't you know? Let me know what you think of this retarded nonsense in the comments section of this video, and please like and subscribe to my channel and donate to my Patreon if you feel so inclined. You'll find a link both in the last 20 seconds of this video and in the description. I am the MGTOW philosopher, and I wish you a good day. Take care.